Let's dive in. This is Test J, Section 2, Question 22. An editorialist says, news media rarely cover local politics thoroughly, and local political business is usually conducted secretively. These factors each tend to isolate local politicians from their electorates. I would stop there and think about whether that makes sense. News media doesn't cover local politics. Does that isolate politicians from their electorates? Yeah, probably. How would we know what's going on in local politics if it's not in the news? Local political business is usually conducted secretively. Also, I would think, would tend to isolate local politicians from the electorate. Okay, so the first two sentences make sense to me. This has the effect of reducing the chance that any particular act of resident participation will elicit a positive official response, which in turn discourages resident participation in local politics. So the news doesn't cover it, plus they do their business in secret, so the politicians are super isolated. In turn, that means that if you try to participate, it's less likely that the isolated politicians are even going to notice that you're trying to participate. And in turn, that discourages you from participating in the first place. All right. I don't really see an argument there. That seems to be just like fun facts about local politics. So I'm anticipating that this is probably going to be a must be true question or a supported question. The question says, which one of the following is most strongly supported by the editorialist statements? Yeah, so it's just another evidence-based question. It's essentially a reading comprehension question. Based on all of the things that the editorialist said, which one of these 5 things seems most likely? I might predict an answer here, something like news media, the lack of coverage, and the fact that local political business is usually conducted secretively tends to cause people not to participate in local politics. That's just kind of adding up all of the facts. That might be the answer. When I go through these answer choices, I'm looking for conservative, boring, obvious. I'm looking for something no different and no extra. I want something that is fully justified by the facts on the page. The wrong answers here are going to be different or extra. A says, particular acts of resident participation would be likely to elicit a positive response. I would stop reading that one right there. I don't need to read any more of A to know that it's wrong. A is counterfactual. A is like, well, it would be different under different circumstances. You don't know that. You know that people are discouraged because of the news media and they're discouraged because of the secrecy. But that doesn't mean that without the news media and without the secrecy, everybody would be participating in local politics. There could be a million other factors that also discourage people from participating in local politics. Like, video games are so good these days that why would anybody waste their time? Or like, your friends will think you're a dork if you try to participate in local politics. Or, I could go on with like 1,000 other reasons why people might not participate in local politics, even if the media covered it and even if the business wasn't usually conducted in secret. B, local political business should be conducted less secretively. I would stop reading that one right there. This argument never said anything about what people should or should not do. B introduces this new normative, prescriptive element. B's bossing people around. Huh? These facts weren't about what people should or should not do. Therefore, I'm not picking an answer that's about what people should or should not do. C, the most important factor influencing a resident's decision as to whether to participate in local politics is the chance that the participation will elicit a positive official response. C is extra. The facts did say that if you're probably not going to get a positive official response, that might tend to make you not participate. But that's not the same thing as saying the odds of getting a positive response is the most important factor. So this is a perfect example of what they do to create wrong answers on must-be-trues, supporteds, and basically all of the reading comprehension questions that exist. They take something that is basically correct and then they amp up the volume too high with most important factor. No, it was a factor, but most important factor? I don't have any evidence for that. And that's why C is wrong. You guys see how it's easy for them to create an attractive wrong answer by doing that? By just making it a little bit extra? That's something that you need to watch out for on must be trues and supported questions, any of the top-down evidence-based question types. D says, more frequent, thorough coverage of local politics would reduce at least one source of discouragement from resident participation in local politics. Notice that it doesn't say that the people would actually participate. Instead, it just says, would reduce one source of discouragement. The facts do say that the lack of coverage causes isolation, which reduces the chances of getting a positive official response, which is a source of discouragement for participation. So, if the coverage were better, then that would tend to reduce one of the sources of discouragement from participation. And I hope you guys can see the difference here, where C is like a little too much, and D, because it just says remove one source of discouragement, there could still be a million other sources of discouragement that we don't even know about, which is fine. I know for sure that one potential source of discouragement would be removed if the news coverage was better, and that's why I feel safe, I feel comfortable picking D. E, if resident participation in local politics were not discouraged, this would cause local politicians to be less isolated. That's backward. So E just misinterprets the way the causality works. Isolation causes lack of participation or a discouragement of participation, not discouragement from participation causes isolation, which is what E is saying. So E is just misstating the facts. The wrong answers here, A, B, C, and E, as predicted, are different or extra. They're too strong or they just misunderstand the facts. D is the only answer that is an accurate application of the facts with nothing different or nothing extra. That's why the answer is D.